Somebody tried to steal a Secret Service car from the agents that were protecting the president's granddaughter, and they got away.
They're just cleaning up this place because all those fancy leaders are coming into town. That's true.
San Francisco got a makeover over the weekend because very important people are coming. Joe Biden's Secret Service unleashed some bullets flying in Washington, D.C. over an attempted car theft. And also, we need to rethink how we look at MSNBC, and I feel like have a lighter, more, comical tone. All that and more coming up on this episode of Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in. My name is Jobob. Daily Caller Live starts right now.
2, 1.
Here we go!
That might be the only brown guy on earth named Jobob.
That is actually her name, Jobob.
Live from the dingier of the dingiest bunkers, completely cut off from the outside world, except for you fine folks. My name is Jobob. This is Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in on today. It is Monday, November 13th, the year of our Lord 2023. A lot of stuff happens over the weekend. Not really going to touch a lot on Israel today, just because, there's nothing has really changed, just more of the posturing, more of the protests over the weekend that were nuts. But I feel like we should all start with this, because I thought this was one of the more fascinating things over the weekend. Now, we're all familiar with MSNBC. We're all familiar with the MSNBC hosts. We're all familiar with how they look at things and how they say things, and what their whole model is from a business perspective, which seems to be Trump is bad, he's going to kill us all, and we're all going to die if Trump is in office, which is, again, hilarious. But I think there was a couple MSNBC clips over the weekend. Well, specifically Jen Psaki's show, former press secretary to the current president and now current gazillionaire over at MSNBC, talking to, herself and then also Jamie Raskin, congressman. And the conversation being had on that, I think, was so ridiculous and outlandish that I think I'm doubling down on how we need to all look at this network, the people at the network, and the point of view that they're trying to push. I think, did I spell laughed? Why is there a T at the end of laugh? I don't know. Early in the morning, we type these things up, and sometimes I add an extra letter that's not supposed to be there. I'll blame it on the cat hitting the keyboard or something like that. But at the end of the day, we only need to just laugh at MSNBC. Because that's, I think, the only real actual emotion you should have when watching this. I want you to watch a couple of these clips from Jen Psaki's show on MSNBC over the weekend. And I don't know. Here, the thing is, I think it'll make a lot of people mad. But at the end of the day, you really just, if you put it in context, just have to throw your head back and laugh as if she's doing a comedy routine or satire in some way, shape, or form. Watch this.
And yet, the hand-wringing and cocktail party speculation about an alternative to Joe Biden is continuing, will continue. Guess what? Joe Biden isn't perfect. No candidate is, by the way. But we have to understand what the alternative is here. If elected to a second term, Donald Trump would prosecute anyone he deems an enemy, unleash troops on protesters, and essentially unravel the rule of law as we know it. And this time, he plans to line his administration with people who will actually help him do it. But sure, Joe Biden is 3 years older and occasionally trips over things. Look, there's a lot to be concerned about right now when it comes to a second Trump term. The speeches are getting much more disturbing and much more unhinged, and we should all hear it that way.
There's a saying in politics, constantly and always accuse others of that which you are doing yourselves. Again, I'm not entirely sure. I think Jen Psaki is smart enough to not buy anything that she's saying. I think she's entirely and solely a cynical actor when it comes to this sort of stuff. I think she's just, cashing a big old paycheck and getting book deals and doing speaking events and all of that sort of stuff. I don't think she actually believes that, because if she did, that would make her a very, very dumb person. And I don't think Jen Psaki is a dumb person. I disagree with her on things, but I think she's entirely cynical when she talks about that. The fear now, and the fear that they're espousing on MSNBC and a bunch of places on the left, is that Donald Trump is going to prosecute his political enemies, which is, again, hilarious given the situation currently happening by Democrats across the country, in Georgia, in Manhattan, in Washington, D.C., the Biden DOJ plus, the New York Attorney General, the Manhattan DA, the Fulton County DA. All of these places are literally prosecuting people for political purposes. And that's what MSNBC is. If Donald Trump gets in office, there will be political prosecutions. Again, it's hard to say with a straight face, but also remind people, remember, if you will, on the campaign trail, let's just look at this in the perspective of over the last 7-8 years. On the campaign trail in 2015, the chants that rung out through the auditoriums and the arenas that Donald Trump was at, the "Lock Her Up" chant was one of my favorites. The "Lock Her Up" chant, we're talking obviously, of course, of Hillary Clinton and her several crimes against the people of the United States. The servers, the emails, Benghazi, a bunch of the stuff that Hillary Clinton did, induced the "Lock Her Up" chants. So that was a big thing. They were all scared. Oh, Donald Trump's going to prosecute his political enemies. And then the guy gets into office, and what did he? Is Hillary Clinton in jail? Did he do that? No, he didn't. And then, of course, in 2020. Joe Biden runs saying, this is terrible that Donald Trump is going after his political opponents, which he didn't, by the way. We just covered this whole thing. He gets into office, and I think month 1, it was like, yeah, we're not going to prosecute her. Everybody was upset about that. A lot of people were upset about that, but he just didn't do it. And it was like, yeah, that's not gonna benefit our cause to remain and stay in power. Elected, of course, by the people. But then Joe Biden comes in, Democrats come in and say, I can't believe that they would have all this crazy stuff. And then he actually does what a bunch of people were accusing Donald Trump of doing, which he didn't do. Again, accuse others, accuse your opponents of that which you are doing. Of course, now the MSNBC crowd, again, Jen Psaki, who I think is smart enough to know that this is just stupid. Is saying Donald Trump is going to do exactly what Joe Biden is doing. And maybe he will, maybe he won't. But at this point in time, because it's been done on the other side of the aisle, unfortunately, Joe Biden and I think a lot of the Democrats have crossed the Rubicon, if you will, of there's no going back on this. If you can find crimes, actual crimes, and I think it should be actual crimes, obviously, of your opponents, go ahead and prosecute. But that is the case now with MSNBC. And I want to play another part of this Jen Psaki thing with Congressman Raskin, who takes it even a step further. Again, accuse your opponents of that which you are guilty. Watch this.
Said this week, if they're beating me, go down and indict them. And the pronouncements he's made over the weekend. I've heard that as kind of his authoritarian impulses getting worse. How do you hear them?
Well, the role of the government, in his view, is to advance his political fortunes and destroy his political enemies. So what would a second term look like? It would look a lot like Vladimir Putin in Russia. It would look a lot like Viktor Orban in Hungary. Illiberal democracy, meaning democracy without rights or liberties or respect for the due process system, the rule of law. And in fact, there's not much democracy left to it because their position is that they don't accept the integrity of any election where they lose. And that is a hallmark of an authoritarian party. They don't accept elections that don't go their ways. They refuse to disavow political violence. They embrace political violence as an instrument for obtaining power. And then everything flows from the will of a charismatic politician, and that is Donald Trump. in their book. So we're clearly headed into a completely different form of government than any of us would recognize.
Now, again, with the serious tones being taken on MSNBC, I genuinely think our response to this is not, no, well, this is, well, your guys ruining the economy. No, the response should be to laugh. Like, that is funny. Both of the people sitting at that table know what they're saying is ridiculous. Like, I guess I don't know, maybe, I don't know what it makes me, but I don't think either of those people are stupid people. I know a lot of people would call them that. Like, they're dumb and they're stupid and they're not smart because they can't wrap their head around. No. I think they know exactly what they're doing. And I think because of that, we need to applaud the acting performance that Raskin and Psaki are putting on. And I think we need to laugh at the fact that they can keep their faces straight. I guarantee you, after the cameras cut here, they're kind of grinning at each other going, that'll get them riled up. Because, of course, accuse your opponents of that which you're doing yourselves, or guilty of. They permit violence. They're talking about January 6th, which, objectively was not good. That being said, it is hard to say with a straight, serious face that wasn't spurred on by the lawlessness around the country permitted by their party. Then he says, well, of course, any election they don't win, these election deniers, which of course, again, is hilarious, considering the election denial in 2016 at the presidential level. Stacey Abrams, there are the long list of Democrats who said that there was rigged in their favor. And again, I'm not saying that Republicans haven't complained a lot, because they have. But let's not pretend this is a one-sided thing, this whole denying elections or being upset if you lose. I think I, for a long time, have said, from an election standpoint, you need to have election integrity laws that are so airtight that everybody believes the election, regardless whether or not they like the outcome. If you have people that don't believe elections, you effectively lose the country. That is the most important thing. It is more important that people believe elections and lose than not believe elections and win. But again, I think the funniest, I think the way that we respond to this should be with laughter. Laugh them into embarrassment, I think, because what they're saying is so outlandish, and they know it too. That's the thing that really gets me. Neither of those people believe any of the things that they just said. Donald Trump is basically Vladimir Putin, and he's going to lock up his political opponents. Yeah, kind of like what you all just did. It's funny. It's comical. I don't know. I feel like we need to take a different approach as freedom-loving Americans. We've been fighting back, pretending that we're on even playing ground for a very long time. And I think we should, at this point, disdainfully laugh at the ridiculousness in hopes that they go, all right, they get it too. Yeah. They know that we know that they know. They're just making it up. Anyways, let's see. Jeez, this is the funniest thing. Anytime I kind of come back to the comment section, I think it's funny how many different conversations. I think there is a what's the thing? The pipeline, the big pipeline going through. I think there's a conversation and an argument going on there. But hilarious. Mike says they opened Pandora's box. Yeah, that seems to be the case. Relevant to what we're talking about. Democrats, when attempting to, or prosecuting or indicting a former president, all right, you opened up the box. Now here we go. Let's look into the Bidens. Let's look into the Clintons. Yeah. So, now I got to move on to this because this is fascinating and interesting. San Francisco. So if you don't know this, Xi Jinping, dictator of China, because I feel like people call him President Xi. I don't think we should allow other countries to commandeer the language that we use for something that is not the same thing. Xi Jinping was not elected, was He's not a duly elected individual. He's the head of the Communist Party, and the Communist Party is effectively a dictatorship in China. So calling him president in the same way of calling Vladimir Putin president kind of gives it the same, well, those people just elect them. No, it's not the same thing. So anyways, the leader of China, Xi Jinping, is coming to the United States to meet with Joe Biden in San Francisco, I believe later this week, maybe today. I'm not sure. But of course, in the lead up to that, San Francisco, which is known for the San Francisco poop map, if you're not familiar with this, there's literally an app where you can look at a map to where all of the human poop on the street is. San Francisco, I believe, employs 8 individuals that make, I think, $140,000 a year, if I'm remembering the article correctly, and maybe some of the numbers a little bit off, but the sentiment remains. They employ, I think, 8 people making a large chunk of money solely to clean up human poop on the streets. That is their entire job. I can't say that I would want to do that job, but the salary is enticing. I'll say that. But anyways, ahead of the China-U.S. meetup, San Francisco got a big old makeover, and a bunch of the stuff was cleaned up. Who would have guessed that would have happened, other than everybody? I want you to watch this clip. This is from one of the news organizations out here in California, talking about the cleanup efforts to impress the Chinese president. Watch this.
While San Francisco is in the spotlight for the Asia Pacific Economic Conference, city leaders are making sure the city shines.
Tourism is our business here in San Francisco, and we need to focus on making sure that the tourist dollars still come back.
Caltrans repaving major roadways like the Harrison Street off-ramp from the I-80. BART doubling down by deep cleaning their stations overnight more often.
The city had gotten a little bit dingy over time.
Scrubbing and power washing is happening all over the city.
Yeah, the bottom of my shoes look clean.
It's noticeable how clear the streets look and how few homeless encampments there are on major thoroughfares.
Having been a longtime resident in the Bay Area, you just naturally start to wonder of houseless folks being displaced.
Public Works is installing decorative crosswalks in North Beach and Chinatown. Some people say this should be how it's always done.
What about the people who are here year-round, and local, hardworking, working-class Bay Area folks?
Others welcome the cleanup.
Anything that brings in a positive look on the city of San Francisco is great.
We will continue to do everything we can to maintain cleanliness in our streets.
How effing maddening would that be if you're San Franciscan? You're sitting there going, this city is falling apart. People literally take dumps in the street routinely. You can't really walk around some districts like the Tenderloin or a bunch of areas in San Francisco without the fear of being stabbed. And all of a sudden, it magically all goes away, but only for a short period of time when the president of the United States and the president, the leader of China, like I almost did it myself, the leader of China come into town. How freaking maddening would that be if you were a San Francisco resident? Going, yeah, why can't this just be how it is? London Breed, the mayor at the end of that clip there, interestingly enough, one of your crazy woke people, but also realizes that there is a limit to the things that people will accept, and so is all out there saying, yes, we're doing everything we can. And then of course they found the 2 people in. I wonder how many people they had to interview to get to those 2 people. That one guy saying, well, where are the unhoused? Why can't they just do this all the time? Well, because it's untenable and not realistic. And then the other guy saying, well, tourism is our biggest thing. Not so much anymore. But the other thing too that I think is fascinating here, that I think kind of goes overlooked when these type of stories happen. Remember when Joe Biden went to El Paso, they cleaned up all the streets, did all the stuff. You ask yourself, what actually is the point? If anything, it's more of a news story. Do you think that the Chinese Communist Party, the government in China, doesn't know as much as they possibly can about American governance and American politics? especially in the age of tearing down Western civilization and having major cities crumble under bad policy. You don't think China is aware of that? And what I mean to say is they're not fooling anybody. Nobody is being fooled by, oh, look at how clean these streets are in San Francisco. We can eat off of the pavement. Surely no one has defecated in this area. No, they know. They know as well as everybody knows. Everybody knows San Francisco is an S-hole. If you get the reference, is an S-hole city. Everybody knows that. And then when you clean it all up, what are you doing? You're effectively inviting people, the media, critics, us, to say, yeah, this is dumb what you guys are doing. Just cleaning it up because you want to show that it's better now, but it's not. And we know it's not. And you know that we know that it's not. And yet you still do it. Why? What's the point of that? And I think the last thing is if it sends a message to the Chinese leaders, the other business leaders around the country, is, wow, they're really working hard to cover their tracks. It doesn't work, but they're working hard to do it. What other things do you think I can force them to try and get away with? That's what I would be thinking. But, geez. Gavin Newsom also chimed in on this. Gavin Newsom, running for president, governor of California, chimed in on the San Francisco cleanup. Check this out.
I know folks say, oh, they're just cleaning up this place because all those fancy leaders are coming into town. That's true because it's true. But it's also true for months and months and months prior to APEC, we've been having different conversations.
And then he goes into trying to say that we've been talking differently about this very, very important issue. Again, if I were a San Franciscan, if I were a San Francisco resident, even just a Bay Area resident in general, I would be effing furious. I don't know how the people in that area put up with this. Just the smugness. I don't know who the guy on Gavin's right is, but obviously the left is London Breed, the mayor. Both of them laughing at that statement that Gavin was making. If I were a tax-paying citizen in the city of San Francisco, I would be unhinged mad. You're going to sit here and pretend that everything is fine because you cleaned up parts of the area that foreign leaders are going to visit. But when it comes to me and my safety in the city that I walk around in, the city that I live in, the city that I pay taxes to, just let the meth heads run amok. And then laugh about it when called out on it. I would not be able to hang. I would be beyond furious. I'm beyond furious. I don't even live there. But dang. What are you going to do? Lots of people on the it's the S-hole. There's some people that I feel like I bring up comments more often than not. One, because they comment more. I feel like the frequency of comments is higher. I guess the likelihood of getting on is, more likely. But also, they also tend to be more clever. Jody says, lipstick on what is now a pig with your tax dollars. Idiots. Keep voting the S clowns into office. Yeah, that tends to be the case in that San Francisco area. Mike also says lots of they know that we know references today. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, this is the other thing. All of this is incredibly cynical. That's what I feel like people should know. We know what we know. They know that we know that they know, and yet they still do it. What kind of a dynamic is that between the populace and the government that governs them? Not a good one. But the SF cleanup, crazy story. Let's see. we'll get into this. This is actually fascinating too. Speaking of S-hole cities, across the country on the other side, Washington, D.C., if you're familiar with what's going on there, Muriel Bowser, that's the mayor's name. Very London Breed-esque, kind of crazy, liberally woke person, but also recognizes that there is a limit of the people that vote for her will tolerate. Is this... Remember, what was it, last week? Last week we had the clip of Muriel Bowser saying, well, we're giving out Apple AirTags so that people can track their cars when they're stolen. And of course, we can't recover them because that would take actual police force. But we will be able to know that they are stolen as opposed to misplaced, I guess. I don't know, but maybe the Secret Service needs some of those free AirTags provided by the city of Washington, D.C. Because over the weekend, there was an attempted car theft of a Secret Service vehicle of the agent team that protects Ashley Biden. Sorry, no, Naomi Biden, Hunter Biden's daughter. In an attempt to steal a Secret Service vehicle, shots were fired. And Peter Doocy gets to the big point about this, but I want you to watch this, and we'll discuss on this side. This is a clip from Fox News on this story of an attempted car theft of the president's granddaughter's Secret Service details car. Watch this.
Secret Service officers who are assigned to protect Naomi Biden, that's President Biden's granddaughter, Hunter Biden's daughter, opened fire at 3 people who were trying to steal one of the Secret Service vehicles. We don't know exactly what kind of a car this was, but according to the Secret Service, who just sent us a statement, Secret Service agents encountered possibly 3 individuals breaking a window on a parked and unoccupied government vehicle. During the encounter, a federal agent discharged a service weapon, and it is believed no one was struck. The offenders immediately fled the scene in a red vehicle, and a regional lookout was issued to supporting units. That means that somebody tried to steal a Secret Service car from the agents that were protecting the president's granddaughter, and they got away.
Yeah. I wish it were shocking, but of course it is not. That somebody tried to steal a car. I guess that's how brazen thieves have gotten in that part of the country. That you can just steal somebody's car. I'm not even going to bother to check to see if it is the Secret Service owned car. I'm just going to steal cars. If I were going to be a car thief, I don't know. Maybe I would think about this too much. But if I were a car thief, I would be tactful about it. I would probably not go after the most expensive car on the street, knowing that the probability of me being caught or dealt with in other ways by the person that owns the nicest car on the street probably wouldn't steal that car. I would maybe do a minimal amount of research, if you want to call it that, looking into who owns the car. Am I going to get... Are there Secret Service agents in the vicinity before I stole the car? But if you have a culture like they do in Washington, D.C., where literally nobody gets in trouble for anything, why would you? You would throw caution to the wind when it comes to car theft and just steal any car that seemed to be in the proximity of which the area that you steal your cars in. I would imagine, too, that the criminals in the area have, in the same way that people, ladies of the night, have their own corners that they work on. I would imagine the car theft gangs in Washington, D.C., and really any major city that is crumbling because of horrible policy. I would imagine they have their own areas. Well, all right, you steal cars north of 6th and west of B Street, and I steal cars south of 4th and east of D. That just seems to me how it works. And if you have that sort of mentality that I don't even need to look into who owns this car, that's when you have a big problem. Not that they didn't already have a big problem. But there's that. So many people in the comment section. I know I've mentioned this a bunch of times, but there's some people in the comment section that I think are responding to other people in the comment section saying very mean things, or they're responding to me saying that. Like, look, I don't know. What is this? Don, Dan, whatever. Terminate yourself. Okay, that's fine. Is that directed to me or is that directed to somebody else in the comment section? I wish you people that would say really mean things in the comment section would delineate between whether or not you're commenting back to another commenter or to me. Because I don't know what to do with that conversation, that comment. There's a bunch of others like that. Geez, sometimes this is fun too. Now that we get in the comment section, this person is fun. I'm not sure who Tim Turner's Dash Ghost with what kind of profile picture is that? But I would imagine that this is one of the Biden campaign trolls. Biden 2024, Hunter 2028. I think he's just trying to stoke the flames of people in the comment section. I don't know that many people buy into it. But Tim, I'll have you know. But I have a hilarious joke in my stand-up routine about this. I think Hunter Biden would be a fantastic president. Look, the man is the most well-rounded. He's an American attorney. He's a Chinese land development manager in North Africa. He's an Eastern European oil executive. He is a world-class painter. And he has done all of these things while high on cocaine banging hookers. That's not a presidential resume. I don't know who is. So, to your point, Tim, maybe Hunter Biden should be the president. But anyways, that'll do it for us today. Appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. If you haven't already, If you haven't already, give me a follow on any of your social media platforms. Just type in JOBOB pretty much anywhere. This Chiron on Facebook has been wrong for about 2 years. And there was somebody, I forget who it was. Was it Jim on YouTube who would comment frequently saying, wrong Chiron? Yeah, yes. And he was correct because I would mention it often. This is wrong. And I just haven't changed it because I'm lazy and bad at my job. But you can type in just JOBOB pretty much anywhere. You'll be able to find me. On Wednesday this week, busy week, I will be in Amarillo, Texas, speaking at a Turning Point USA chapter. If you go to, what is it? Western A&M, I think that's the school. Shoot. I just know it's in Amarillo. Western A&M, if you're a student there and you want to hear some fire takes, come see me on Wednesday in Amarillo. On Friday, I will be in Twin Falls, Idaho, doing a comedy show there. And then Saturday at Blackfoot, Idaho, doing another comedy show that night. For any, if you're interested in tickets, you can go to my social media accounts, shoot me a message, whatever you want to do. You'll be able to find it. But that'll do it for us today. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. God bless America.